courtroom as Cassie was testifying. So let me tell you guys everything that you didn't see or may have not heard, because it's a lot. I will say the most damning part of her testimony for me is when she describes a freak off where Diddy and another man, an escort, are standing on top of her while she is laying on the floor high off of and they are urinating on her face to the point where she is choking on their pee.
What could make 3 teenage girls raised in luxury and fame suddenly crumble in front of the world? Not in private, but in the middle of a packed courtroom. Chance, Delilah, and Jessie Combs, once seen as symbols of the glamorous life Diddy built, weren't just emotional, they were devastated. They couldn't hold back tears, they couldn't sit still, and eventually they couldn't stay in the room. This wasn't a PR crisis. It wasn't about fame. It was something deeper, personal. The kind of pain you can't fake. The type of betrayal that hits you like a punch to the gut. Because what they heard that day may have destroyed the image they had of their own father. This isn't just another celebrity scandal. It's the kind of fall from grace that shakes everything. An empire built over decades, now crumbling under the weight of unspoken truths. And at the center of it all, the daughters. Not the headlines, not the lawsuits, the girls. Watching, learning, breaking right before our eyes. They were supposed to be strong. At least that's what the cameras always showed. Diddy's daughters, growing up in the spotlight, were often photographed with radiant smiles and wearing designer clothes, representing what appeared to be a united, successful family. But what happened inside that courtroom told a different story. According to multiple sources, the moment disturbing testimony was read aloud, everything changed. They started shaking. One daughter reportedly grabbed her sister's hand so tightly that witnesses saw her knuckles turn white. Another tried to stifle her crying, but couldn't. Tears streamed down their faces, their composure shattered. And then they left. Quietly but urgently, walking out as the room watched in stunned silence. It wasn't a tantrum, it wasn't dramatic, it was raw emotional collapse, and it raised one haunting question. What did they hear that made them walk away from their father? Courtroom observers believe the testimony that day came from Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former partner of over a decade. In 2023, she filed a high-profile lawsuit accusing him of serious misconduct, including claims of emotional abuse and coercive behavior. While many initially dismissed the allegations, hearing them spoken aloud, especially in front of Diddy's daughters, may have changed everything. Imagine sitting in a courtroom and learning about painful accusations involving a parent, accounts of control, isolation, and deep emotional harm. For the daughters, it may have been the first time they were confronted with this version of their father, not through headlines or rumors, but directly in a court of law. As if the courtroom scene wasn't heavy enough, the online world amplified it. Social media platforms lit up with speculation. A troubling phrase began trending. "He likes young boys." It's unclear where it came from, and it's not part of any confirmed record, but it spread quickly, fueling theories and commentary across platforms. Even if unproven, that kind of public speculation can be devastating. For Diddy's daughters, already struggling with the emotional fallout, this added a painful layer of public pressure, fear, and confusion. In moments like these, online whispers can often sound louder than facts. As the dust settled, another shocking development surfaced. One that wasn't viral, but deeply serious. The daughters were allegedly considering legal emancipation. That's not a rumor. That's not drama. That's a legal process meant for minors in extreme situations, abuse, neglect, or danger. If true, it would mean one or more of Diddy's daughters are seeking total freedom to separate themselves financially, legally, and personally from their father. To never be tied to him again, not as dependents, not as children, not as family. Emancipation isn't common in celebrity families. It's considered a last resort. But after what happened in that courtroom, and after the media chaos that followed, it might be the only way they see to protect themselves. It's more than just walking away. It's saying, "I no longer feel safe being your daughter." And here's where the story gets colder. Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime partner and the mother of 3 of his daughters, died suddenly in 2018. Pneumonia, they said. The case was closed quickly. But in 2025, that story is being reopened. Not legally, but emotionally and culturally. Why? Because when allegations of sex trafficking, violence, and manipulation start surfacing, people look back. They ask questions they didn't ask before. And Kim Porter's death, once accepted as tragic but natural, is now being seen by some as possibly suspicious. Was she silenced? Did she know too much? Was there a medical issue? Or something else? We may never know the truth. But to Diddy's daughters, already questioning everything, this could feel like another rug being ripped out from under them. What if the grief they experienced years ago was based on a lie? Then there are the charges themselves, or at least the ones being discussed behind the scenes. Whispers of federal investigations, sex trafficking, racketeering, allegations that Diddy didn't act alone, but ran a system. One where favors, fame, and silence were traded in backrooms and luxury hotels, where people were exploited and controlled, not by force, but by fear, status, and power. There's even mention of a leaked prison call, a recording allegedly involving Diddy that hints at a cover-up or manipulation of testimony. Again, none of this is confirmed. But for the daughters, confirmation doesn't matter. The accusations are out there. And the more people talk, the more isolated they become. Because now it's not just about what he did as a father, it's about what kind of empire he built. These girls didn't sign up for this. They were raised in privilege, yes, but also under intense pressure to smile, to dress perfectly, to represent their father's brand. Every birthday, every red carpet, every Instagram post, they were part of the image Diddy projected. And now, that image is gone. What's left is something darker and more dangerous. They're no longer just his daughters. They're public symbols of a crumbling legacy. Every move they make is judged. Every emotion is analyzed. And while the media picks apart their trauma, they're still expected to hold it together, to be strong, to carry the burden of being tied to someone the world may now see as a monster. It's not just painful, it's cruel. Despite the explosion of headlines, accusations, and emotional fallout, Diddy himself has remained largely silent. No televised interview, no long-form statement, just a few words from lawyers, a few denials on Instagram, and that silence, it's deafening. For some, it's strategic. For others, it's a sign of guilt. But for his daughters, watching their world collapse, it's abandonment. In their time of greatest public humiliation, the one person who could offer clarity, comfort, or at least some explanation is saying nothing. And when you're already questioning who your father is, silence isn't just painful, it's terrifying. There's something about this story that feels different from other celebrity downfalls. This isn't just another headline about cheating or tax evasion. This is about legacy, about the myth of the successful black mogul who made it out and brought his family with him. For decades, Diddy was seen as untouchable. He survived Biggie's death. He outlived industry feuds. He thrived while others fell. But now, he's being re-examined. Every party, every relationship, every "did he do that" moment, it's not just his career on trial, it's the idea that success means safety, that fame means innocence, that wealth protects character. And for his daughters, that's a terrifying truth to learn. So now what? If emancipation is real, if the trauma is permanent, if the public won't let go, where do these girls go from here? Can they ever reclaim a private life? Will they ever be seen as more than Diddy's victims? Will they write books, speak out, disappear? Nobody knows. But one thing's for sure, their lives have changed forever. And while their father may still fight legal battles, they're fighting emotional ones the public can't see. Battles for healing, for identity, for peace. This story was never just about music, or fame, or even crime. It was about the human cost of power. Diddy may face trials, he may lose money, but the people who lost the most, they were the ones who believed in him, who loved him, who thought they were safe. And when they cried in that courtroom, when they couldn't take another word, what they were saying was, "We don't know who he is anymore." The real question now isn't just whether Diddy is guilty, it's this. How do the daughters heal when the entire world is watching their pain? Because fame doesn't protect you from betrayal. Money doesn't erase trauma. And in this story, the biggest fall wasn't Diddy's. It was theirs.